Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a year ago, when addressing the DSDS 2013, I said that energy, water, and food security are three major and dispensably basic needs and rights of every human being on the planet. Ensuring access to those does not mean providing people with luxury services. It's a matter of survival. There is, however, another basic right of every society, of every nation, the right to develop, grow, and improve economy as well as life standards. Global population is growing. We are 7 billion now. We will be around 9 billion by 2050. That's why development and economic growth must also mean new jobs. We won't be able to achieve that without energy, water, food. The scarcity of available natural resources will remain a major challenge, so we need to use them wisely in an efficient and sustainable manner. Environment in its entirety is the resource. We use all its components. There is no life without clean water, no food could be produced, no energy generated. Environmental integrity of all human actions should mean taking into account all elements of the environment: water, air, land, climate, biodiversity. None of those can exist alone. None of those could be used by humans without impacting all the others. No country needs to follow the footsteps of other economies. My country, Poland, knows it very well. This year, thanks to Solidarity Movement and Lech Wałęsa, we will celebrate 25th anniversary of reinstating democracy. Over those busy 25 years, we tripled our GDP, and at the same time, we reduced emissions of greenhouse gases by 1/3. We reduced impact on energy generation and industrial activities on air, water, land. It wouldn't be possible without latest technologies, new investments, new IT systems, efficiency-oriented management, and so on. Those who had no chance to develop in the past must not be deprived from the good right to improve their life now. But climate is changing, and the consequences of both weather extremes and slow onset are becoming more and more dangerous. We need to adapt to climate change, reduce all kinds of emissions, energy consumption, and use of resources. This is our common responsibility that should be approached differently by all, taking into account national circumstances and respective capabilities of countries' economies. Each and every one of us, each and every country must contribute to the global goal. Bold actions on the ground undertaken by all can make the real change. The services and goods provided by the environment are not for free. The problem is that the nature cannot issue the invoices. Thus, the states have to protect in its interest, claim the fees from those who use the environment. Poland did it and reinvested the revenue to reduce the environmental impacts and its consequences. This experience of my country could be successfully copied by everybody. We created truly renewable and sustainable source of environment and finance. Ecofees has been driving technological innovation, resource and energy efficiency, and continue to do so. Last November, Poland's capital city, my city, Warsaw, hosted the UN Climate Summit. As a COP president, as a Polish minister, I'm particularly happy to acknowledge the successful outcome of COP19 CMP9. All agreed we have managed to bring trust back to the table, and I will continue to champion this approach until Paris 2015. All parties made significant progress on the way to the new global agreement in 2015. Parties agreed on the adoption of Warsaw Framework on RED+, which would allow for significant enhancement of global efforts against deforestation. Parties also managed to establish Warsaw Mechanism on Loss and Damage to address impacts of weather extremes as well as slow onset events. Significant progress was made in climate finance. Parties took decisions crucial for the future Green Climate Fund and managed to raise funds to save Adaptation Fund. For the first time in the history of COPs, business representatives and cities and regions were represented. We do hope that this will continue during next COPs. The year 2014 will be another very important year on the way to save planet. Climate negotiations will hopefully take us to the stage of drafting the legal text of the future Universal Agreement. The Climate Summit, invited by UN Secretary General, will allow the head of states, but also leaders of the cities and business to demonstrate their actions. Ladies and gentlemen, nearly everybody suffers directly or indirectly from weather extremes, floods, and hurricanes claiming human rights. Climate change negotiations are about equitable access to sustainable development, are about access to energy and clean water, about access to technologies, about ensuring that 7 billion people now, and possibly twice as many at the end of this century, will not only survive, but also be able to live a decent life. Major economies, both developed and emerging, are particularly responsible for leading the efforts to mitigate emissions and to adapt. Such a leadership, based on environmental standards, which are not against industries, but in contrary help to create jobs and build a long-term competitive advantage and better environment for business development locally, thanks to the inclusion of the environmental products and services in value chain. Such a leadership will create new opportunities for business and regions, cleaner and healthier environment, food and water security, sustainable energy supplies. Such a leadership should include political commitments by governments, enhance development cooperation, public and private climate resilient investment programs, education, and awareness-raising campaigns. They all are urgently needed. I hope that Warsaw COP had paved the road for such a future. Thank you.